Hello everyone, I welcome you all to the very first lecture of our course. The first module is Introduction to Python. I assume many of you have already gone through this programming language, but there would be many who has not even heard about the term Python. Okay, so we have designed this course in such a way that even a novice will be able to learn each and everything about the Python. Okay, so so let's start from the basics. Okay, so what is programming? What happens whenever you have to interact with some human being, you need some language. Okay, similarly, whenever you have to interact with computer, you need some language. Those languages are called as programming languages. So basically, programming is nothing but providing a set of instruction to the computer so that it can perform some task. Okay, so now the next question comes, why Python? So, and what is Python? Okay, so there are a number of programming languages. Python is one of them. So now, so as I said, the question comes like why we are going to use Python for our course. Okay, so since Python is one of the most powerful languages, which is very easy and also popular, so due to these advantages, we are going to use the Python for our data science course. Okay, the biggest advantage of Python is that its syntax are very clean, and you can just by reading the syntax you can easily understand like what specific line of code is going to do. Okay, so now let's talk briefly what we are going to cover in this course. Okay, so first we will discuss the basics of the Python. Like we will show you how what is variable, what is data type, what are the operators we have. Then we will discuss the control structures, like how to use if and else statement to write the program. Then we will discuss loops. After that we will learn about how to manipulate data with data structures. Okay, and then we will move to the topic functional programming in Python. Okay, how to write function, how to use lambda, map, filter and reduce functions. Okay, then how to handle input and output file, how to read and write. Okay, and then we will learn how to import libraries like NumPy and Pandas, Matplotlib, Seaborn, and how to work with these libraries. Okay, so if you want to explore more or want to refer some book, then these are some set of books which you can refer for Python. Okay, all right, so yeah, let's come to the next topic. So when you have to write some Python code, you need some IDE. So it is like a paper where you are going to write instructions. Okay, so there are various IDEs like PyCharm, Jupyter Notebook, Visual Studio Code. Okay, but for these IDEs you need to install it in your system. But apart from these IDEs, nowadays we have many online IDEs also. To work on these IDEs, what you need is simply a tab of your browser. That is enough. Okay, some online IDEs are like Replit, Google Colab, GitHub Codespaces. For our course we are going to use Google Colab. Okay, now we are going to see how to set up a Google Colab. Okay, so for that let's move to the browser. So let's move to the browser. So what you have to do is that you have to open colab.research.google.com. So once you click on this link, you are going to get a page like this. Here you have to click on this new notebook thing. Okay, once you click on this link, you are going to get a page like this. Okay, so it is still loading. Okay, yeah, so now it has loaded. Okay, so I'll show you, I'll briefly tell you like what different things are. This is your notebook name. Here you can modify it, something like, let's say I am keeping the name of my notebook as ABC. Okay, so now it is abc.ipynb file. So ipynb is the extension which we use for our Python notebook file. Okay, so it is there. Then yeah, so whenever you will click on this plus code, it will insert new code cell, and when you click on this plus text, then it will insert one new text cell. So code cell, so all the cells like which is gray in color, no, these are code cells. Here whatever you are going to write, no, this Colab will consider them as a code. But apart from this, you can also click on this plus text, then here this is a text cell. So whatever you are going to write here, no, so these are text. Okay, so whatever I am going to write, these are text, and Python will not, this Colab will not execute this cell. Okay, so what you have to do is that you have to connect it to a new runtime. Okay, maybe you can click on this, or even if you do not click on this, no, and if you run some code, no, then also automatically in the first step it will connect to a new runtime. Okay, so yeah, and then here whenever you click on this one, no, it will open the table of content. Okay, so I think, yeah, this is enough introduction about the Google Colab. Let's write our first Python program. Okay, so our first Python program, we are going to write, what we are going to use, no, we are going to print hello world. Okay, so for that, what I have to write, we will type the statement print, then we will put parenthesis, and here we are going to write hello world. Okay, so how to run it? To run this cell, you have to click on this icon. Okay, so now you can see that it is connecting to a new runtime, and slowly it is running. It will take some time to connect. Once it gets connected to a runtime, no, then execution of any cell would not take this much time. Okay, so before running this cell, it got connected to a new runtime. So now it has connected, and we can see whatever we have typed, this is the output of this code cell. Okay, it has printed hello world. Okay, and these are text cells. You can write some text cells, so that just to maybe you have written some code and later you want to refer it, no, for that purpose you can insert some text cell also. Okay, so this way you have written your first code in Python. Okay, so now let's again go back to the slides. Okay, so here are the slides. Okay, yeah, so let's start with some basics. So what are variables? So variables, just take it variables like a container which stores the data. There can be different type of variables like integer variable, float variable, string variable, boolean variable. Okay, the biggest one of the advantage of Python language is that you do not, by default, you do not need to mention the variable type. Okay, if some number is in integer, by default Python understands that it is a variable. If you put some number in decimal, no, by default Python understands that it's a type of float variable. Okay, and this is string variable. By default, whenever you are going to write some sequence of alphabets inside double or single quote, Python will understand that it is a string variable. Okay, and if something is true or false, then by default Python will understand that it's a boolean variable. All right, so what is variable? So here age is a variable, and height is a variable, name is a variable, is student is also a variable. Okay, so yeah, apart from variable, now there is one more term named as comment. So what is comment? So what happens whenever you are going to write anything, whenever you are going to write anything after the hash symbol, Python will not execute it. For example, here if we write this same statement, print hello world statement, in another code cell, and we will put the hash sign before that, then there would be no output. Why it happened? Because Python take it like a comment. Okay, whenever you put hash symbol before any code, Python by default Python thinks that it is a comment. Okay, so Python will not execute it. Okay, so I hope these points are clear to you all. Okay, so now let's start with the second topic. So now let's talk about a few important functions. So one of them is input function. Basically, input function gathers user input, and print function displays output. Okay, see, by default Python will take any user input as a string type. Okay, but you can change user input into the desired data type, like using functions like int or float. Int is denoting integer type of function, int is denoting integer, and float is representing float type. Okay, so let's take an example. Okay, so what is username? So here username is a variable, and we are using input function to take input from the user. Okay, so and whenever you have to print some statement, so here we are writing print hello plus username. Since this is a variable, so whatever value here we have, that Python is going to print. Okay, so let's take another example. Here what we are going to do, we are changing this variable type to integer. Okay, so here we have another variable named user age, and then we are going to take input from the users, and then we have one more function named as future age, and future age is nothing but user age plus 5. So now we are writing the statement print. In 5 years you will be, again the variable name, future age, and then years old. Years old is something again this is a string. Okay, then we are going to print this. In 5 years you will be, here we have entered variable name and again one string. So here one important property you have to see is that, if you put some variable name inside this print statement, no, then it will print the value of that variable. But if it is a string, then Python will directly print it as it is. Okay, so let's move to the Colab notebook. There we will do all these programming questions. Okay, and we will see in real time what happens. Okay, so yeah, let's clean it then. Okay, all right. Yeah, so here we are going to, I have one more notebook where I have inserted few questions. Okay, so let's open that. So let's try to fill this one. Okay, so first question says that write a Python program to print hello world. So what are we going to type? So we are going to type print, and then we are going to put parenthesis. Then we can use single quote or double quote to denote strings. So here in the question it is asking us to print hello, comma, capital W O R L D. Okay, so again here we have to connect it. I can click it on click here, or we can click here to run this cell. Okay, so here we can see that yeah, it has printed hello world. So again, I think I have already talked about the comments. So comments in Python are used to explain the code or make notes for yourself. Okay, or maybe other developer can refer you those comments in future. Okay, as I told you, comments are not executed by the Python interpreter. Okay, so yeah, you have to, let's say in comment I am writing, it is just for reference. Whatever you are going to write, you can write after this hash symbol. Okay, now let's discuss the second question. Second question say declare two variables x and y and swap their values. So let's declare variable x and then variable y. Okay, we can assign some values, maybe x equal to 25 and y equal to 7. Okay, just to check, we can print x comma y values. Okay, let's see what is the output Python is giving. So yeah, 25 and 7, so that is the x and y values. Okay, so now the question says swap their values. So what we can do to swap that values, we can do is we can write x comma y equals to y comma x. So basically what it will do now, it will simply put the y value into the x variable and x value into the y variable. Now print it again. Okay, maybe I should write this print xy twice. Okay, so that we can easily see that before swapping what is the xy value, and after swapping what is the xy values. Okay, let's see. So here we can see that before swapping, so this print statement printed 25 and 7, and the second print statement simply printed 7 and 25. So we can see that yeah, the value has changed. Okay, now let's move to the third question. So third question says write a Python program that takes the user's name as input and prints a personalized greeting. Okay, so what we have to write is that let's declare the variable name. Let's declare the variable named as name. Okay, so and what would be the function? And let's use the input function. So let's declare one variable named input variable. Okay, and then let's write a personalized message. Okay, let's print the variable name. Okay, so let's run it and we'll see what happens. So once you run it, you are going to get a input section. Here whatever you are going to write, that will be the input to your this code cell. Let's say let's write James. Okay, so James is the input. So what happened once I gave this James as an input, then this code cell printed the same named as James. Okay, so here just see, for print function, if you are putting any variable name inside this print function, then it will print the value of that variable. Okay, but if you put any string inside this print function, then it will print that string as it is. Okay, let's say we are putting one string hello and write a plus sign to add these strings. Python course. Let's see what it prints. Let's again it is asking for an input. Let's put some input file. Let's put some name here. Let's say I'm writing Charles. Okay, so what it is going to give me? Hello Charles, welcome to the Python course. Here you are seeing one mistake. There is no space between hello and Charles, and also there is no space between Charles and welcome. So what we can do is that we can put one space here and again one space here. So now let's see again. So now when I'm writing Charles here, then hello Charles, welcome to the Python course. Okay, so I mean it worked very well. Okay, so it successfully executed this statement. Okay, now let's do one more thing. I mean, do you see? I'll show you one more properties of. So now I'll show you one more property of input function. If you write anything, any string, if you put any string inside this input function, no, it will print that when it will print that string, but it would not affect your input file. Okay, let's say I am writing here enter your name. Okay, and see, we will see what happens. Okay, now again I'll run it. I'll see that Charles. So hello Charles, welcome to the Python course. This is what we wanted, right? So now it would not, there won't be a blank input section. So now there won't be any blank input section. Okay, it will ask you to enter your name. Once you entered Charles, then it will print hello Charles, welcome to the Python course. Okay, I'll briefly revise these 2 points again. So here name is a variable. Input function will ask you to give some input. If you write any string inside this input function, it will print that string, but it would not affect your input file. If you put any string inside this print statement, it will print it exactly as it is, and if you put any variable name inside this print statement, it will print the value assigned to that variable. Okay, if you put plus sign between one string and a variable, or between two string, okay, it will help you to print both things in one line. Okay, now let's discuss about the operators. So Python supports several operators like in arithmetic operators, comparison operator, logical operators.